forward?
Yeah. It's a Lady-Ada robot. Live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Ask the Engineer. You're probably just finished watching a whole hour of show and tell hosted by JP and Colin's Face. They did a great job. I was doing a city council meeting with the New York City Council where we were talking about how to get businesses reopening safely. So
That's right.
It's over now. I'm here now.
We
Ready to
have
take this on.
the entire team that's able to help out some weeks. The city council that you're on is at 6, sometimes it's at 7, sometimes at 5, and that's why we have lots of different folks that can do the show and tell. So
But you guys can deal with it. You're flexible. So we got an exciting show for tonight. We even have some new products and some coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
we got a lot of stuff going on.
Let's do this show.
All right, on tonight's show, we're going to talk about show and tell. People around the world showing and sharing their stuff. Lady Ada will talk about who is on the show and tell and what projects they shared. Got some footage from JP's workshop, some stuff that he was working on, and some stuff ahead, in addition to a Make Code Minute. We're going to do the CircuitPython newsletter brought to you by Kattni. We'll be doing that towards the end of the show. Lots of Python on hardware news, so if you want to catch up on all the things that are going on in the world of Python on hardware, be sure to tune into that. Some time travel, look around the world, makers, hackers, arson engineers, things that are going on and more. We got some main New York City factory footage and also some scenes from around New York City and more. Some 3D printing, Noah and Pedro printing up a storm. We'll talk about some of the projects that they are making. We have everyone's favorite segment, Digikey and Adafruit bring you I on NPI. And
NPI.
We have a very special one this week just to give you a preview. This one is going to be all about Molex and the Molex custom cable creator. Lady Ada will talk about that and more.
I will.
We're going to do new products. We have some. We're going to do some top secret. We're going to answer your questions, and something to know throughout the entire show, go to adafruit.it/discord. That's where we answer questions, and it's also where we hit a new milestone, and we'll talk about that in a bit. 20,000 humans. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been moving fast because a lot of people have been working from home, sharing a lot of things. This is the 24/7 hacker space that you can bring your grandkids to. All that and more.
Or your grandparents.
You guessed it. Ask an Engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit of programming note. You are watching Ask an Engineer at 8 p.m. Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m., we have a show and tell. Sometimes Lady Ada and I are on it, and sometimes JP and Scott and Colin or Noah and Pedro or Kattni or someone from the team will be leading it because Lady Ada was appointed, and this was like, hey, can you do this? Yes. To the Mayor's Council to help restart the New York economy. And I want to spend a couple moments and talk about restarting the New York economy. So, we are shipping all orders. There's a banner on our site. We have been shipping all orders from the start, but sometimes it took us a little while to get to some of them. Now we're shipping all of them.
And we put a bunch of stuff back in stock. We'll talk about some of those items as well. But we notified a lot of people for all the back in stock items, and more is coming in. So you're going to slowly see, as people coming back to work, as we get our shipments in, more of your favorite items are in stock. And if not, of course, go to digikey.com and they might be there.
And just to let you know, when you place an order, you're helping all of us. This is a pre-COVID-19 photo. We are not standing next to each other right now. We also, as a company, we all wear masks. And that is because it works. And I can tell you, as a person who employs 100 plus people with Lady Ada, we are so thankful and we have so much gratitude that no one got sick over this last 3 months. This Sunday, it was a weekend and there was Memorial Day, and it gives you a lot of time to reflect and think. And we did a bunch of protocols and things leading up to March, and then when March 15th or so, that's when a lot of the city started to go on pause. And then we were asked to be an essential business and make things like ventilator parts and face shields. And it's kept us safe and still no one's sick. And we're very proud and pleased about that. And we also thank all of you out there for placing orders and being patient, because we were able to get to all of them, and now we really can, as we safe and smart.
And you have gift certificates, cash those in.
Yeah, you can use them. You can also
give
just
away.
You can also just
Save
support Adafruit. And I also want to Stella's in the Discord chat right now, and I want to give a special thanks to Stella and the entire finance team, who's been able to keep our gas tank with enough gas to keep going through this. We still need all of y'all's orders, but we'll get through this. And the bills aren't going away, and neither are we. So thank you so much, everybody, and we do appreciate the orders. Okay, so let's kick it off. Lady Ada, there was people on the show and tell.
There were. We had a lot of people.
Who's on the show and tell?
I'd love to tell you.
And what they do.
Okay, Kevin dropped by from Digikey, an update. First up, everybody's helping ship orders. That people from like the business team coming in. Everyone's pitching in. They're doing a lot of people are engineering at home, or they're working on medical devices. They're shipping as fast as possible. And he showed off, he made like a Chevy like LED sign for his truck, so he can like light it up and make it look cool. I think it's part of his like volunteer like call service thing. He goes on an emergency call, so he wants people to know he's on a call. I was in the middle of my meeting, so I was able to only listen to a little bit of his update, so check out the video. Melissa showed off Display I/O on Blinka, so the Display I/O libraries and examples that we use on CircuitPython. People have been like, I want to run these same like PyPro projects on a Raspberry Pi. We're getting closer to that. Blinka is our Linux and Raspberry Pi layer of support for CircuitPython library. So it's slowly coming together, and Melissa she's going to be bouncing between a couple different projects, and we'll continue working on Display I/O. Scott gave an update on ESP32S2 support for CircuitPython. He's got digital inputs and outputs blinking away, so that's good. Now he's working on I2C support, but as he did that, he kind of found some storage bugs, and so tomorrow is probably going to be more debugging and analysis. He'll do a live stream either Thursday or Friday, likely, and you can watch him do it live, learn a lot. Liz demoed off her xylophone robot. It turns out she actually, in school, she composed music for xylophone. So this is like a great project for her. So she was able to duet with her robotic xylophone. We also have a long video we'll show later, an adorable video storing this cool xylophone bot that we have a guide for now. And this is one of the only robotic xylophone guides I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of people build these things, but rarely do they document them. And she did an excellent job documenting them. And we worked together, Noe, Liz, and I, to make it as easy as possible to make. So anyone can have their own Xylobot. Brian has been working with so many sensors that he made an I2C sensor analyzer plugin for Sele, which is a logical analyzer, which will be very handy. Colin did a demo of the Adafruit Open Tracker. So this is a location tracker that folks at Adafruit have been using to track their location. Colin showed it off. So it's privacy respecting, it's personal, it doesn't send data anywhere, and there's also temperature logging, so you can log your human temperature as well. Then we had some visitors from around the community. Tim showed off a cool old scientific calculator. Chris D showed off his rounds, which are what I call coins, but apparently a coin is something that's coined by a government, and these are rounds. They look like coins, but they're not, like, you can't spend them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I guess we learned something.
Everything can be called a coin.
I know.
Everything
you and I are like
everything can be currency.
Dan is working on some robots. I guess it's like Doctor Who robots. Orlando made a breakout to make Bluetooth audio projects easier using an audio module, the RN52. And then to wrap it up, Colin made some faces. They were good faces too. And that was our show and tell. Okay,
all participants on the show and tell. We'll get a show and tell sticker. We'll get back to you. This is like sticker deferral. If you've earned a sticker, we'll get to you later. That's how we're going to do it. So just drop us an email after we let you know stickers are shipping. It's part of our Adafruit live series of shows. We've been doing live shows for like 10 plus years.
I know, nonstop.
JP show is coming up. A few things JP has a bunch of different shows going on now. So
I know.
he has a Make Code show on Tuesdays. Also has a Make Code thing on Thursdays. Also has JP's workshop. Also has a bunch of videos going on, and then also has been helping
His
out
little show and
with show and
tell
tells
as
and
well.
more.
Yeah, I know.
So what I want to do is
Machine.
start off with a couple videos. This is some stuff that JP was working on, and then some stuff that you can see coming up soon. So let's take it away, JP. All right, and don't forget, Make Code Live is, like I said, Tuesday. Make Code Live with JP, and every single week on Thursday on JP's show, we have a Make Code Minute. So take it away, JP.
For the Make Code Minute today, I asked my daughter what should I build, and well, it was her birthday this past week, so she said, how about something to do with birthday candles? So what I decided to build is a little virtual sort of cupcake or cake with candles on it, made on a Circuit Playground Express. And the way it works is that you can press the A button and it lights up the candles. And you can see they are flickering. If I put my hands around it, it flickers, and we've got some little variation in the color there of the little candles. The way it works is that you simply blow on it to blow out the candles. So I'll go, and you can see they blow out when a noise is detected, a loud sound is detected on the Circuit Playground Express. There are quite a few things going on to make this happen. So first of all, I've got some variables that I'm creating in my on-start block for if the candles are lit or not. And then I have this array of each individual candle, its state. And this is really useful because when we, let's say, click the A button to light the candles, we call a function called light candles. And while the number of lit candles is less than 10, we pick a random number from 0 to 9, and then we check, is that one lit or not? Since we're using randomness here and I don't want the same pattern every time, I check against the state of all of those falses or trues in the list there. If it's one that hasn't been lit yet, then we go ahead and light it. And this is simply running through from 0 to 255 divided by a rate, which decides how many steps to take the candle from 0 to 255 or vice versa on the blowout. And then that is applied to this pixel color candle to a hue. The saturation is always the same. And then my index value is whatever that number of steps is that it's going to increase each time. Then we flip that variable to true so that it knows that it shouldn't try to light that one again. And then we increase the number of lit candles by 1 so that it stops when it gets to the maximum. And so we do pretty much the same thing in reverse to blow them out. And that is how you can create a little lit candle and candle blowout or cupcake for your birthday inside of MakeCode using the Circuit Playground Express. And that is your MakeCode Minute.
Okay, all that and more on JP's show coming up tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. All right, we're going to do some time traveling. We're going to look around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers, and more. Here's what's happening right now. We have a little bit of a celebration. 20,000 humans over on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. And just to give you an idea of how things are moving along with Discord and all of our activities over there, we started the server. Shout out to Scott, who said we should probably have a Discord community.
Wow.
And so July 20th, 2017. And then we applied to be a partner. And then in April of 2018, we hit 5,000. And then we celebrated a year, a little bit in end of June 2018. And then the first time we hit 10,000, the first round, was January 13th of 2019. And then you could see it quickly accelerates March of last year, we were at 2019, and now May, we are up to 20,000. So
Wow, we gained 1,000 in like 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
And I think it's because there's a lot of folks that they play video games, but they like to come together and talk about the things they're making. And
That's cool.
And that's one of the things that
We make stuff with video games too.
we make stuff with video games, and like a lot of the game controllers that people want to make, those are popular in our channels.
Yeah.
But also there's a topic for everybody. There's the weekly CircuitPython community chat, and you can see a whole entire platform evolve before your eyes every single week. So I think that's why we're seeing such interest on it. I'll say, we don't have the same advantages as every other company and every other effort because they get influencers. Like, I'll say it's very hard for us to get any help from like YouTube.
Yeah.
They straight up say like, we don't want your type of content.
Yeah.
Why don't you do things like PewDiePie? Straight up. And so it's always hard when there's these big platforms and you have something that's very helpful, but they're just like, well, how do we get like celebrities in and stuff like that? So I want to thank everyone for being a part of this because, we have to cut through the noise and have something so valuable that, we have to be like 10x better to have these type of numbers. So our 20,000, I think, is worth 200,000. Just saying. So thank you, everybody. Next up.
You should get a Discord coin.
A Discord coin? Discord's been pretty cool. They've been.
They did give me a hoodie.
They've been really helpful with us when we've asked for things.
Yeah.
And I can't say for sure, but I think they moved the server discovery because of us. We said we have so many people. Why would you force it to be like?
Yeah, because they were like, you have to be there every day, and we're like, we
then
don't
we
want
did-
people every day.
But then we actually even hit that.
Yeah.
So like even when the goalpost gets moved, I think we do a pretty good job because we're just used to it.
Yep.
Open source hardware. We're an open source hardware company.
That's right.
You can check out.
I have so many registered boards.
You have a lot of registered boards. There's a lot.
Boards.
There's a lot. But one of the things that I did during the week is I sent an email to all the open source hardware companies,
Yeah.
mostly U.S. because we're in the United
Oh,
States.
we're friends with them.
And I said, hey, I also think Canada, or ones that carry open source, or just like ones that are maker companies.
North American open hardware.
Yeah, and one of the things I was hoping over
No.
the last few months and the last decade or so is there'd be times where all of the hardware companies would come together and say, here's sales, here's an effort, here's the thing. Sometimes we do. And in this case, I saw that Evil Mad Scientists, they're reopening because they have the specific guidance from where they're at in California.
Yeah.
And they're now able to do no contact pickups. They did a blog post. So I want to do a shout out for Evil Mad Scientists. If you're thinking about buying something that's cool, that's clever, that's interesting, that's smart, that makes you feel smarter, go to the Evil Mad Scientist site, check out what they have, and then also support a maker company. This is the time to support companies that y'all want to see succeed and thrive. I know every single company, especially in the maker world, needs help to get through to the next month and to the next month and the next year. And we'll get there, but it only happens if we take out our credit cards once in a while. And if you've got a little bit of money, of course, yes, please spend on Adafruit. But we're not the only place, and we don't carry everything that they carry. So go there, support them. They're really nice people too. And they've been part of the open hardware movement from the very beginning.
That's right.
And I
they
think
even helped draft the definition.
that's right.
They were there.
So, next up, we did a talk over the weekend. It was called Pivoting in the Pandemic. It's on youtube.com/make.
It was for Virtual Maker Fair.
That's right, Virtual Maker Fair. And it was all about kind of our story about what happened in January,
March,
February, then March.
yeah.
Some background story. We get a call from the city. Can you stop everything and make stuff? People's lives are on the line.
Yeah.
Then later on, can you pivot your business to do medical electronics? Can you pivot your business to do same-day no-contact delivery for people working on fast-track FDA certifications for ventilators? Sure. Can you do this today? Can we get 10,000 of this and 10,000 of that? Okay. And then what do you do when we were all trying to figure this out? How do you keep your team safe? What protocols do you have? What things are you going to do next? And how do you have a resilient workforce that can navigate this? So that was the talk. Folks liked it. We put up a URL, adafruit.com/open safely. and it has where we're shipping to, which is everywhere. For PPE, we're shipping to the Eastern Alliance right now. However, we're opening that up more and more.
Yep.
And then there's some things where if you just email COVID-19 at adafruit.com, we can do an authorization. And then we've partnered with some companies and businesses. Some are national, some are regional, and they can order stuff for their teams.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that we can, one, support the local businesses around Adafruit, and then our local 10-block area, and then our city, our borough, our state, our country, our world, our local solar system galactic cluster. But that's what the talk's about.
Yeah.
And so check it out, youtube.com/make. And there was a question in there.
Okay.
And the question was, are you ever going to go back to normal? And the answer is no. And that's not a bad thing. I think people want to believe that, like, let's get back to everything the way it was. There's not. That path is not going to work out for you.
Yeah.
There's only one way, and that's forward, and that's new ways forward. For example, we expanded a lot of our staggered shift ability because people have childcare. People have all sorts of things. Why would we want to go back? Why would we want to eliminate that when that's working out so well for people? And that's something that you kind of want to do anyways. We've had a pretty good flexible schedule program with all of our teams, but now even more so. And really good protocols to keep people safe. Really good things like telemedicine. We got our healthcare report, and we saw that no one got sick at Adafruit, and people are utilizing the telemedicine.
Tons of telemedicine.
And that's exactly what you want. It's like you can always say, like, hey, telemedicine is a thing. It's really helpful. You can see your same doctor in our plan. They just do telemedicine now.
Yeah, they
and
got
a lot of people
coverage.
move to
They've
that.
got mental health coverage. We've got COVID test coverage. So
Yeah.
it's good.
So
people don't have to pay out of pocket fees even. It's just free.
So one thing I also want to stress is wearing a mask and wearing gloves is not a political statement at all. It is a health and caring about others statement. And I think, we're probably all smart makers, and, we're all watching this, and people are engineers and they're scientists or they're curious. I think we can all come together and just basically be like, hey, we're doing this to help each other.
Yeah.
And I know it's like,
this is a help each other time.
We have Facebook feeds and we have all this stuff. But I think if we just emphasize that, like, everyone wants to open up. And if you can wear a mask, it's cheap and easy. And you can wear gloves and you can know that you're protecting others. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's easy. It's easy. It just means we all get to go back to do what we want to do faster. So anyways, that was the talk. And do check it out on youtube.com/make. Okay. We have 2,207 guides, Lady Ada. What was on the big board this week?
I'm glad you asked. Okay, we started with Noah and Pedro made a simple mini fume extractor. They just needed one, and they made a cute one with googly eyes. It's all 3D printed. It's got this like GoPro style hinge, and it just plugs into anything with a USB port, like a USB like lipstick battery charger, or your computer, or an extension cord into another wall adapter or something. And we'll have a video for that in a bit, where we talked about 3D Thursdays. Kattni wrote a massive guide for the CircuitPython LED animations library. So we recently sped up NeoPixel displays on CircuitPython a lot by putting some of the mathematical calculations that need to happen to write to NeoPixels into C instead of having it in pure Python. And so that means that we can more easily do complicated animations like rainbows, sparkles, comets, matrix layouts. And so she goes through all the different animations. And if you have animations you want to add, please submit a pull request, because there's tons of animations that we didn't get to include because there's infinite. But she did a really good job adding a whole bunch of them. We also had from JP, a creepy Lars the Sloth puppet. I don't completely understand exactly the story behind this. It has something to do with an ice cream truck and his mortal enemy. I don't know. Anyways, a scary puppet with teeth needed to have a voice, and so JP volunteered to try the new CircuitPython capability to decode MP3s natively. So we've always had the ability to play WAV files, but thanks to the MP3 patent expiring and the powerful chips that are now available for people to use, like the NRF52840 and the SAMD51, we can decode MP3 files raw natively on the chip using, like the Real Player open source code, which is like super cool. I mean, I remember I had like a Pentium 120 and it could like decode MP3s, and like that's 120 megahertz, and now our chips are running also at 120 megahertz. So why not? So this is a demo showing how to use a prop maker wing to play MP3s from a Feather M4 into your Creepy Puppet, and he's going to be doing some more MP3 prop projects, especially with background sounds and foreground sounds, to show how you can do that with MP3s. And then finally, Liz and Noe finished their massive project, the BLE MIDI robot xylophone, using Itsy Bitsy, and only like 4 wires because everything is controlled over I2C. There's port expanders and solenoid drivers, and then 25 solenoids to make a fully robotic glockenspiel.
Yeah.
And we have a little video we can
We do.
play.
We have a clip.
Take it away, Liz.
All right, fine. You win. So we're going to keep it to one song and one song only. Not what I meant. All right, let's cue it up.
Okay. So
Find out the thrilling conclusion by watching the full video.
yeah, and we'll also be showing the video that goes along with this during our 3D printing section, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a preview of what's ahead. So we have 2,207 guides.
So many.
That's right.
We're going to get to 2,500.
We will. We soon will.
We'll get a cake.
Yeah, we can order a cake. We can
I
do
get a
that.
cupcake.
All right. So stay tuned to learn.adafruit.com. That's where all these guides are.
Okay.
We're going to do some Made in New York City news, factory footage, and more. Yesterday, we went down to Wall Street because it was the first day that they're ringing the bell and more. And, this used to be our neighborhood. Adafruit started just a couple blocks from Wall Street in a condemned, kind of crummy area because it was ground zero and the Trade Center wasn't rebuilt and built yet. And, we visit there, we took a walk, and we saw it, and it is thriving and it's starting to come back to life. It's getting deep cleaned every night.
Those guys were spraying down everything.
Yeah, I have a similar suit, and I spray down parts of Adafruit each night as well. People have been sending this in. There was a really cool squirrel obstacle course, and it used some feather stuff. So here's a screenshot from that. Here's some connectors and more. This is some of the photos that Dana, who helps lead up our manufacturing and more at Adafruit. Here's an air quality sensor Dana's working on right now. And here's some of the testing we do. You can see this is what it looks like when we test some of our electronics.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, this is them slowing down so you can see them, because they actually move even faster.
These are our Stemma relay boards. People really like these.
Yeah. And we got some things that we've been working on. We got the Oled Bonnet.
Yeah, it's finally coming out. So we are getting back to manufacturing some of the things that we had put on the schedule in mid-March. And now it's happening. So we've got, our first fab new product with everyone wearing masks, gloves, being safe.
Yeah, got lots of different pieces of parts here, and you can see
showing connection. This is actually, as I was QAing it, I was asking for photos. This is the QA photos. On the left is my hand built sample, and then on the right is the final design, and this is the tester.
Yeah, and then we got the stencil, and then we have a bunch of other things that have just come out of the machine, and then you can see
this is how they know
some
it works.
of it working, and then
the oven.
Yeah.
I think it's the oven.
That is
the stenciler?
I believe it's the pick and place machine, and they're about to come out at the top there.
Yeah.
You have to see them zip by.
You can see a little board slowly.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be made in New York City factory footage without some time lapse. So outside our window, Disney's building across the street. They're using some of that Baby Yoda money to build a building across the street from Adafruit. So here they are. They're getting pretty far. There's a lot of activity in the area, and it's neat to kind of watch these at high speed because they're kind of like little insects. They're like meep, 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 meep. And then at night, they're drilling giant holes into the ground. And I'm on a later shift at the Adafruit factory, so I'm usually
we see
going
these
by there at
gigantic.
night.
They're like core drilling into the bedrock.
Yeah. All right. 3D printing time. Now, Pedro have 3D printing shows going on every single week. Longest running 3D printed show in the history on planet Earth. Even multiple Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3 too. Yeah, they're popular across the multiverse. So we're going to do 2 videos. We're going to do the fume extractor video that we talked about, and then they made the really cool case that they showed on the show and tell for all the games. So we're going to play
you
those.
back to back? I'm ready for the next thing.
See you on the other side.
Hey, what's up folks? In this week's project, we're building a mini fume extractor. This uses a 5-volt DC fan that we wired up to a USB connector. You can power it from a USB battery or plug it into any 5-volt USB hub. It's small and doesn't take up too much space, so you can move it around when you need to. We added googly eyes just for fun, but it actually looks more cute this way. The 3D printed enclosure snap fits, so you can easily swap out the carbon filter when it gets dirty. This absorbs solder smoke and will help keep the air clean. I designed it with a GoPro style hinge so you can adjust the angle of the fan. It's compatible with GoPro adapters, so it can be set up on a tripod or even a magic arm. The CAD files are free to download and they can be 3D printed without any support material. To power the fan, just plug it into any 5-volt USB battery. These are great because they're rechargeable, inexpensive, and can power all sorts of devices. Be sure to check out the Learn Guide for full step-by-step tutorial on building this project. We think these projects are great to do, especially if you're just getting started. So I hope this makes soldering more enjoyable and inspires you to have some fun with your projects. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Okay, and like I said, don't forget Wednesdays 3D printing with Noah and Pedro. Okay, it is time. Are you ready?
It's that time.
Okay. Digikey and Adafruit bring
Present.
R on MPI.
All right, this has become one of our more popular segments in the show. We have this as a standalone video that we have every Thursday as well. The latest, the greatest, all the new products that you want. Digikey has them. Lady Ada picks the cool ones, the things that she wants to share, and then we call it Eye on MPI. This week,
That's right.
Molex.
Molex is this week. Well, we spent a lot of time in the last few weeks looking at wireless chips and sensors and microcontrollers and all sorts of like kind of complicated advanced stuff. And I saw this pop up on the Digikey like /new NPI release website, they were announcing this new partnership with Molex, and I was like, oh yeah. You know, a lot of people don't think about the cables. The cables are, you know, an extremely important part of every electronic design, but you know, a bad cable will like totally mess everything up, and it's really common. Oftentimes cables come loose, or a cable, you know, a wire comes out of the connector, or it's not tinned correctly, and so maybe like it gets rusty, and then your entire product doesn't work, and it's pretty sad because everything else may be beautifully designed, but if you don't spend time to get good connectors and good cables, nothing works. Another thing that's frustrating about if people pick bad connectors and cables is that sometimes you don't find out till weeks, months, or even years after the product has been released. So you end up having to do recalls and repairs, or you know, you have you get a bad reputation for your product failing after a few months or years, which is no good. So I like Molex connectors. They're solid, they're dependable. They've been doing this for a really long time, and another thing is, you know, well, let's say you design your product that has multiple boards, or maybe it has some buttons and a button board. You want to have a connector on each end and then a cable that connects them. And, you know, we take cables for granted as engineers. We don't realize that they're actually really difficult to make correctly, and they can be fairly complicated. Wiring harnesses are not simple things. And so if you're designing a product and you want to get some custom cables made, historically, you would either have to go to like a factory that was, you know, that would do cable design, and you would go and talk to them, and it would take a really long time to get samples made, or you would DIY them, which always ends up being a lot more complicated and time consuming than you think. Or now you can use the Molex and Digikey custom cable creator.
That's
or
right.
The CCC, as I like to call it.
That's right. And, you know, we'll show a video and some other things, but it's digikey.com /n/product-highlight/m/Molex/custom-cable-creator. However, you could just type Digikey custom cable creator
It'll
in
take
any
you there.
search engine, and it'll just go there.
Okay.
But let's start this
Let's
adventure.
go on a journey. Okay, so I was
All right.
like, of course I'm going to have to create a custom cable.
Okay.
So you click on the button to get started.
All
okay.
right. Then what?
So there's going to be 3 parts. Well, there's a little bit more afterwards, but side A, which is one end connector, and then the cable length and specifications, and then side B, which is where our faces are at right now, but you would pick the other connector. Remember, it doesn't have to be the same connector. Sometimes you have harnesses that go from, you know, one type to another type, and that's actually the kind of cable we'll be making. So let's click on side A. So when we click on that little gear logo, it'll pop this up, and you can see that there's a couple dozen different options. From, you know, the Pico Blade, the Microfit, Minifit, Milligrid, Pico Clasp, Nanofit, Ultrafit, KK254, DuraClick, Megafit, ClickMate, etc., etc. So the question is, what am I trying to connect to? So I decided, okay, let's pick this sensor that I've got in the store. It's a it's a barcode scanner, and you can see there it's got this kind of like USB cable thing that connects to like a white cable connector with 4 wires going into it. And this is designed, you can just plug it right into your USB motherboard. But let's say I want to have a custom cable because this is going to be embedded into a microcontroller, and I want to have those cables, I want this sensor to be at the end of my mechanical connection, or it's hanging out somewhere. And then a cable comes back and then plugs into my main board, which is going to have a 0.1 inch standard header. So first off, let's connect to the sensor itself. So, it turns out that this is a Pico Blade 1.25 millimeter pitch 11 pin connector. So let's select that. Great. So you select 11 circuits, and the tin plating is fine for me. Receptacle, there's also the other way around, so you can have sometimes cables can have the opposite connection type. So the photo that you see is actually the thing that you're going to get. So that's what I really like about this. As I was picking this out, it would show me a photo of exactly the connector, which is really handy, because especially since receptacle or plug, it's counterintuitive sometimes depending on how you think of it. So it's one row, Pico Blade 1.25 millimeter pitch. Great.
Okay.
So save this and go on to the next step. Next step, we have to pick the assembly wires. And so I just picked 150 millimeters, which is about 6 inches. I don't care too much about the cable covering. You know, there's different UL certifications. I sort of just picked the first one. When you have to pick the wire gauge, there's only a couple options. In this case, it was like 28 or 26 because the crimp connectors can only take 26 or 28 wire gauge. So depending on your connector, you're going to have different wire gauges you can select. I just picked 28 because it's not high current carrying. Let's make it easy. Okay, so next up, we have to pick the other side. There's actually one thing that I thought was interesting here is that not every option is available. So you can of course pick the same Pico blade on the other side, but you'll see like DuraClick, the 2 millimeter pitch that you can't make to it because the wire gauge is too thin.
That's helpful.
To crimp. So they tell you what's not possible.
Yeah.
They're like, you cannot connect. You can't make something that has these on the both ends. You'll have to have something in the middle, or you have to come up with some other solution.
That's cool. Okay.
But, so let's look at the device. So I only, and this is a close-up of that barcode scanner. So you see that there's this 11-pin connector, but I'm actually only connecting to the first 4 pins, the first 4 wires, black, red, green, white for USB. It's because the rest of them are used for like UART or something. I don't want to connect to them. I only need those 4 wires. Okay, so next let's select a 2.54 millimeter pitch connector. This is the KK series. I want to have a 0.1 inch connector on the other side, and this one is compatible with the wire gauge. It only needs 4 circuits because again I only need those 4 USB pins. Single row, and then again receptacle. I'll have headers in the board, and tin plating is fine. Okay. So next up, pin out. So because we have 2 connectors and they're not equivalent, I kind of have to tell them which wires to plug into the first side to get into the second side, right? And so this is where we start making out the specification. In this case, the default actually turns out to be like perfectly fine for me. It's the first 4 pins. If it was the middle pins, I'd have to, click on the like update thing and then tell it like move over. And then the next step, I can select the pin wire colors. Okay. So on this step,
it has all that too.
Yeah, I tell it, okay, these are the wire colors. So black for ground, red for power, and then green and white for data plus and data minus. And then I like how it shows you where the latch is, so you know what the polarity is. But then you'll see we also get a rendering. And you can edit the connection. So this is where you can start rearranging the pins if needed. Again, it turns out that direct 1-to-1 is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So next, like extra fancy options now. Woven braid's pretty cool. There's taping. You can get wire ties, labeling. I actually don't need any of that. It's just a simple cable. But this is available. Of course, you'll pay more for it. It's becoming more advanced assembly.
Okay.
So I'm not going to check these off and go next.
All right.
Okay, then I fill this out. So the way it works is that I think Molex actually does the manufacturing, then Digikey does the sales and ships it to me. And you can request a sample, though I did get an email saying that because of COVID-19, the facility is very delayed, and so you're not going to get a sample nearly as quickly as usual. It might take a couple weeks. Okay, so I filled this out, click submit. You tell it, approximate annual usage, so they can give you a quote for that amount, and you submit it, and that's it. You're done. Okay, great.
Hooray!
So then a day later, we'll get to the day later. So the next thing I want to show is, yes, you can get custom cables, but don't forget you can also get pre-made cables. So if you have a pretty standard, same end-to-end cables, and you don't mind the wire colors being all the same, you can go to the off-the-shelf cable assemblies that are available at Molex, and these are all available at Digikey as well. So for example, if you go to Digikey and you just go to cable assemblies, you'll see they have 2,000 different cable assemblies, and some of these are USB cables. They have more than 2,000. So 2,000. They have 300,000 total cable assemblies. Some of these are like D-sub cables, but I also found that they had some Pico blade to Pico blade connectors. So it could be that for some low pin count. I think it's like 6 pins or less. You can get straight through cables or of various lengths for different connectors. So if you have the same connector on both ends, of course, you're going to have an easier time getting a pre-assembled cable. And of course, those are going to be cheaper and they're off the shelf, so you can get them immediately.
Yeah.
Another option, if you're like me and maybe you're impatient, you don't want to wait for somebody to assemble a cable, but you hate crimping cables because it's so easy to accidentally nick the cable, or it's just hard. Like, you can do an okay job crimping, but to do a really good job, you really need a machine or be an expert. You can get pre-crimped leads. So these wires will fit, the Molex connectors. They have the socket or pin ends on them, and then you just get the housings and you plug them in. So that's a much easier way, and that can be very fast because the time-consuming part of cutting, stripping, tinning, crimping, that's taken care of. And these are very inexpensive as well, and they're available in multiple colors. Okay, so while I was looking at this, a day later, I got an email, and they give you a rendering of the cable.
That's cool.
So it's cropped in a bit, but it's you get a rendering of the whole cable and a step file. So you can, rotate it around and verify that the latch is on the side you want and the cable colors are what you want. So you can even see the black, red, green, and white cables and the latches and the different connectors. And they'll also give you a data sheet, which is like automatically generated, which is kind of cool. So they show you, this is your spec sheet for the cable, which I actually think is pretty handy because, like, even if you end up not having Molex assemble your cable, but you're making a Molex cable, the fact that you can kind of get this can save you a lot of time if you don't want to have to go through and like make or draw your own data sheet. So I thought this was pretty handy, especially if it's automated. Okay.
All right. And so that's where you do it. We do have a video that we're going to play, and this is 1 minute of Molex. This is your Molex minute.
The Molex minute.
Yeah, that kind of goes over some of this stuff too. It's a good video, so we want to play it. Take it away, Molex.
With a Molex Custom Cable Creator, you can start designing your own cables with Molex today. The Molex Cable Creator develops a custom cable solution, including cables, connectors, and accessories, all in one place. Choose from many different product connector families, circuit sizes, wire gauges, UL styles, cable lengths, and more. Our proprietary pinout configurator allows you to select wire colors and individual circuits for your unique applications. In addition to your free drawing and 3D model, you can request a quote and mechanical sample. The Molex Custom Cable Creator, available at molex.com.
All right.
Awesome. So I think, especially if you're in industry and you're like, I need a couple hundred cables, I need them really well made, I don't want to wait, to get a quote from overseas or some other factory, you're going to get Molex quality, and Digikey will sell them to you, and
That's right.
Toot sweet. So check it out, and just for fun, maybe just try it out. No obligation to purchase. Design up a cable. Especially like getting the 3D model was super cool.
Thanks for making that connection, Lady Ada. And that is
Olympiad.
okie dokie.
Okay. Roll right in.
Yeah, let's go right into new products. Okay.
I need a xylophone to play this.
Yeah, we have some new products, and I also just want to remind everyone, we are shipping. You place an order, we ship it. We're operating smart. We're operating safe. We have staggered shifts. We're at reduced capacity as far as the number of people on site at any time. So I want to let you know, even when you place an order, even if it ships fast, it's because we're operating safe, and that's what we've been able to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do, and that's what we're always going to do. So we thank you for your orders, and even Adabot got in on this with the mask here. So thank you, everybody, for
Yeah.
your support.
Staying
Okay,
safe.
first up, we have a product that a lot of people signed up for. You're waiting for it. It's now in stock.
Yay, we finally put in a bunch of the feather senses. If you wanted these, you can get as many as you want now, if they're still in stock, which they should be. It's a hint, we have the green photos, but they actually come in Adafruit Black now. So
Yeah.
we will update these photos shortly. Thank you for your patience. Same exact hardware, just more fashionable.
Okay, next up.
Speaking of green PCBs, here's a feather wing that we planned to release a few months ago, and we're finally getting to it now. This is the Feather 9DOF IMU wing from ST, using ST sensors. It's got the LSM 60 SOX and the LIS 3 MDL. So the LSM 60 SOX is a 6 degree of freedom accelerometer from plus gyroscope. And then the LIS 3 MDL is a very common magnetometer that they use. And together, this gives you 9 DOFs. And so you can use this. We have a guide on how to use Mahoney or other AHRS fusion libraries. And there's even a library now in CircuitPython to get orientation data out. So check out our guide on it. What I like about the LSM 6D SOX is it's extremely low noise, low drift gyro. So it's extremely high quality. The price is really good. It's very small. It's thin. The sensor is, you're getting like close to industrial quality gyroscope performance, which is what is really key in doing orientation sensing. It's the gyroscope that's going to dictate a lot of like how much drift and jitter you're going to see, because the gyroscope is the toughest thing to sense well, to sense consistently. And so this is a really nice pairing. We also have a little stemma breakout if you don't want the whole wing. But what's nice about this is it only uses I2C, so it works with every single feather from the ESP8266 up to the STM 32F405. And we put a stemma connector on the end, so if you want to add more sensors, like let's say you want to make a 10 DOF sensor with altitude, toss on a LPS 25. It's an ST barometer pressure / altimeter sensor, and now your drone is ready to fly.
Okay, while we're doing this, we can insert a question. Why are there multiple headers in this design?
When I have space, I like to break out all the header pins so that when you solder this onto a header, you still have like every pin duplicated.
Okay, cool.
I don't always have space, but when I do, this is what it looks like. You can see each one is just cross-connected.
Cool. All right, and then the star of the show tonight, besides all you awesome folks in the community, the Adafruit
Cool
team
cats and
members,
kittens.
and more, is...
Yay, it's the Oled Bonnet, also designed by Brian a few months ago, and we've been trying to get this into the store, but we will not be stopped. Finally, we have this design ready to go. So this is a bonnet. It sits on top of your Raspberry Pi, or you can see a Pi Zero will work as well. And here's the bottom. So the bottom, you can see there's that 2x20 connector. So this means it plugs into any Raspberry Pi, or actually it'll probably even go,
You want this one?
no, the one you were just,
that one?
yeah. It'll plug into any Raspberry Pi, or even like some other Linux board that has a 2x20 connector. And we also put a stemma connector on the bottom so you can plug in other sensors. And you can, it uses the SSD 1305, which is a fairly common OLED. We have CircuitPython / Python libraries for it. But there's also like the Luma library if people want to use non-Adafruit libraries. Okay, so.
Okay, do you want to do a demo here?
Yeah,
or-
let's show off the demo,
Okay,
because I have the demo.
yeah.
So, let me tell it to focus.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 128. Oh, this is a very compact cable. It's a
You can move this way.
yeah. There you go.
There you go.
It's 128 by 32 pixels, but they're really chunky pixels, right? So it's the same as our Pi OLED, which is a tiny, like 1 inch diagonal. This is like 2 1/4 inch diagonal, but it's really bright because each pixel is like a gigantic OLED. In this case, I plugged into the stemma connector MPU 6050, and I'm just having the accelerometer and gyroscope and temperature data come out so you can see that. And this code is all written in Python. It's one of the examples for this library. And then this is kind of what it looks like on the bottom. This is the prototype. You can see it's got this very long connector, and it kind of goes around and under, but it tucks in nicely. And this is taped solidly on, so you don't have to worry about this little puffy part. If you get squished, it's okay. So this nice big OLED, I like because you can see it from very far away. It's like a extremely bright display. And what's nice is that we already have so many example codes for like pi hole, or showing your pi statistics, or showing sensor data. You can of course do graphics as well. It doesn't have to do text, but text of course is easily readable. And you can display animations on it, and you can do about 30 frames per second of animations. So that's the start of the show.
Okay, and with that
OLED.
is new products.
Yay! New.
All right, we're going to move on to top secret really fast.
Okay.
Lady Ada, what is top secret this week?
I've got 2 top secrets to show off. Let me show them on the overhead. Hold on.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. What you got?
Okay, so I've got more stemmer boards are coming your way. This is the HT20. Also started before the break, but I'm back on my business, and so we've got this cute temperature and humidity sensor. This will probably actually be in the shop in the next couple days, because we actually got all the parts in just yesterday. And then I also have, this is kind of fun. People have liked these air quality sensors. They have a little fan in them, and then a laser to count the particles, like the PM 2.5 particles. And the only thing that was annoying about them is they were all UART connected. And so they were a little difficult to use with Linux computers, or even a microcontroller. If you had a microcontroller that didn't have a software or hardware UART available, you wouldn't be able to easily use those sensors. But this one is I2C capable. So I made a little breakout for it. It actually plugs in. It's got a little plug here. So you just plug it right in. It can only plug in one way. Hold on. And then stemma connector, and then all the power regulation stuff it needs.
This is cool.
Yeah, so I think this will be fun because again, you can plug this into that bonnet and then have it display the air quality sensor data. And then you just you get a long cable, and you put this anywhere you like to measure the air quality. So
Yeah.
this is from Plan Tower. People really, I remember somebody emailed us and said, you should get one of these like Plan Tower air quality sensors. They're good, and they're good. All right,
All
so that's it's not out yet.
Okay.
Don't ask.
That's top secret. Okay, cool. And y'all already know the dealio, but just to remind you, don't forget, go over to adafruit.it/discord, join all 20,000 of us, and we're going to answer some questions, and we're going to get out of here a couple minutes early tonight. Well, right on time,
Well, we're on
actually.
time. We're rocking and
Okay,
rolling.
so the question that you had answered before was why have headers, second set of headers, and you said it's because
It's free.
it's free, and yeah, empty space is free. But that is when you have space, you like to do that.
Yes.
Okay. And then someone wanted to know if they could use that thing to navigate a submarine. I guess that was one of the previous products.
The IMU, yeah. I mean, the only thing is that it uses the magnetometer, and so if you have motors, you just want to keep it far away from it. You want to have it protected. But yeah, I mean, it'll work underwater. It'll work anywhere that you want. It'll do orientation and uses the magnet to sense where the planetary north is, so it can give you absolute orientation.
Yep. Compliment. People are really digging the move to Stemma QT. Super easy and compact way to connect boards. Yeah, we think so too.
Yeah.
We also have github.com/adafruit/awesome-stemma. That is our big overview. We also have the awesome list for Feather and the awesome list for CircuitPython. Question about AdaBox. This one's easy because more good news ahead. Are you going to be able to put out all the rest of the AdaBox this year? Yes. Are you going to still put out the other 3 AdaBox out for this year? Yes. That question was asked in the same paragraph. Yes and yes. So good news. We're getting closer to being able to ship AdaBox 15. That's the one we're doing right now. The only problem is if I say it'll be shipping this date and global pandemic rears its head again, People
Then somebody will show up on the show.
people will be more upset about AdaBox
They'll come on the show and they'll ask every week, why didn't you ship?
death count. Sorry, this is like the way some people are. So
Where's my AdaBox?
yeah. So
Where's my
sorry.
AdaBox?
Yes, it'll come out. Yes, we're really close, but I don't want to give you a date because that'll be a new thing to be fixated on. It'll be shipped safe and smart, and very soon. But I'm not going to give you a date because if I give you a date and it's slipped by a second or an hour, or even if we hit the right date, some guy will still be mad. So that's why, yes, it's coming soon. Thanks for sticking around. If folks want to drop, go ahead, but it is full and there's a waiting list to get back on it. I totally get it if you want to drop, but it'll be out soon.
You can cancel anytime.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, maybe an AdaBox could be a CircuitPython controlled robot. Well, we have Cricket. Cricket we've done
as
a
that.
Circuit Python robot.
That's
and
right.
We have lots of other ideas and more. So stay tuned.
That's right.
We'll be able to get them all out and then some. Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Yep, we'll get them out there safe. We are accomplices. Yes, that is probably true. We're usually around each other.
We're gonna make coins.
Okay. Yeah, there was a credit card. People are talking about stuff in the YouTube chat. Yeah, there was a credit card scraper project. There's a bunch of those that have been around. Check it out. Smartphone had one, I think, for the gas station stuff. I think that is going to be it for the questions this week.
Yeah, we're right on time.
So, right on time. All right, everybody. That's our show for tonight. I want to thank Takara, who's in the chat behind the scenes.
Takara.
Thank you so much, Takara. We will see everybody next week. Special thanks to all the remote team members, all the Adafruit employees on site, and more. Thanks for staying safe and smart. We couldn't be doing this without you. And we appreciate all the orders because that is what sustained us. We went on life support for a bit. We're okay.
Yeah.
We hope to continue to be okay, but we can only do that if y'all get the word out about buying some stuff on Adafruit and more. Big thanks to our community, and also this week we got busy. We had stuff that we had to take care of, but the weekly CircuitPython chat, everyone, thanks for continuing to do that every week when Lady and I got diverted on some urgent matters. So thanks to everyone who's doing that. And we'll be back next week. It'll be one of us, all of us doing show and tell, depending on when this one has to help save the city.
Well, it's the same time again, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. And then we'll do Ask an Engineer at 8 p.m. And we'll continue to give everybody updates. You can check out our photo log every night, or close to every night. It's on the Adafruit blog. We take photos of what's going on in the Adafruit factory, and we also take photos of what's going on in New York, so you could see some on-the-ground stuff. And we thank everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
So much.
Thank you. See you next week.
Yeah, we're gonna play the Circuit Playground
that's
newsletter,
right.
and then the
Then
show,
we'll say goodbye.
And then, well, no, we're already done.
Okay.
And then the show will be out. So, take a seat.
Take it away, Katney.
All right, here's our CircuitPython newsletter, and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
It's that time again. This is Katney with your weekly Python on Hardware news. Every week, we put together the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. It is available through adafruitdaily.com. Head over to sign up and see all of the past and current newsletters. Or tune in each week to hear what's going on. Adafruit is continuing to operate as an essential business under New York City executive order to provide assistance with the COVID-19 outbreak. Most employees are working remotely, while a few are working in the Adafruit factory to help manufacture and ship desperately needed PPE to the surrounding area and beyond. This week, Phil and Lamore presented Pivoting in the Pandemic, about retooling the facility and processes to provide large quantities of and a wide array of PPE and electronics for medical devices in New York City. Check it out as part of Virtually Maker Faire. Adafruit is now shipping all orders, though COVID-19 related needs are still being prioritized. If you have been waiting to order, read Adafruit's announcement at adafruit.com/opensafely and head over to adafruit.com to place your order. Note, there may be a number of out-of-stock items as manufacturing has been disrupted. We suggest if an item is out of stock and needed, consider searching one of the many Adafruit resellers. In the US, Digikey is suggested. Hackspace Magazine issue 31 is out and full of DIY, smart home, and Internet of Things goodness, including a few things related to Python on hardware. Meet the Maker highlights Liz Clark, maker, musician, author, sharer, and accomplished CircuitPythonista. Check out Liz's BLE synthesizer project. Learn more about drawing graphs with CircuitPython. And take a look at the Pimoroni EnviroPlus Featherwing and its accompanying CircuitPython library. All of this is available now at hsmag.cc. Virtually Maker Faire was held on May 23rd, sponsored by Make. This online gathering primarily featured makers responding to COVID-19. 24 hours of presentations, workshops, demos, and exhibits were held across all time zones. Adafruit had a strong presence, including Phil and Lemore's Pivoting in the Pandemic, hand wash timers using Make Code and CircuitPython with John Park, electronics and 3D printing for COVID-19 with Noah and Pedro, and DIY electronics for costumes and art projects by Aaron St. Blaine. Details and the full list of content is available at makezine.com. At Microsoft Build last week, there was a discussion on using the Microsoft supercomputer to train OpenAI on thousands of open-source GitHub repositories. The dataset is used to help programmers generate Python code. Check it out on Periscope and YouTube. Nox is an open-source command-line tool that automates testing in multiple Python environments, similar to Tox. Unlike Tox, Nox uses a standard Python file for configuration. For each session, Nox will automatically create a virtual env with the appropriate interpreter, install the specified dependencies, and run the commands in order. Find out more information by visiting nox.thea.codes. Mark has contributed a CircuitPython library to perform altitude and heading reference system calculations. AHRS takes an accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer and combines the data to create orientation data. While previous implementations have been in Arduino, this one is written in CircuitPython for fast microcontrollers. Check it out in the CircuitPython Community Bundle. Translating CircuitPython is now easier than ever. CircuitPython contains control and error messages which can be translated. Translations make the project more accessible to a broader range of folks. Adding or improving the translations is a great way to get started contributing to the project. With the help of fellow open-source project Weblate, we're making it even easier. This week we had contributions to German and Dutch and the beginnings of Czech. If you write another language, visit hosted.weblate.org/engage/CircuitPython, sign in, and start translating. You can create a new account just for Weblate, or sign in using other sites like GitHub, Google, or Facebook. Maker Diary posts to GitHub a hand-wired USB and Bluetooth keyboard powered by CircuitPython. SP Kuehl wrote Chess Clock, a CircuitPython library for creating and controlling a chess clock using the Adafruit Feather M0 Express and two 7-segment displays. Code is available on GitHub. Use BLE to communicate between a microbit running Make Code and an Adafruit clue running CircuitPython using the _BLEIO library. Check out ++int on Twitter for details. Todd posts to Twitter the simplest of Eurorack modules. Only 8 components, including connectors, but gives you CapSet's touch control of a CV and gate, albeit at 3.3 volts. All controlled by an Adafruit Trinket M0 and CircuitPython. Find ToddBot on Twitter for more information. Mike posts an update to the multifunction PyPortal information display, which provides calendar, weather, stock info, shower thoughts, and more. Hobby_robotics on Twitter has details. The first SNEC-board PCBs have made their way to the creator. In a project update, Keith lays out the last few steps needed before shipping the LEGO-ready CircuitPython-compatible controllers to backers. Visit CrowdSupply for more information. Cedar Grove Studios posts the Musique Concrete Cuckoo Clock, powered by CircuitPython, at the test stage. It features an Adafruit Pi badge connected to an Adafruit Cricut for Feather board. Check it out on YouTube and Twitter. Deshipu posts to Twitter the prototype Fluff M0 board up and running. Fluff M0 is a minimal feather form factor board with a SAMD21 chip running CircuitPython. Fixed wrote up a post about a MicroPython developer workflow in VS Code. Check it out on fixed.co. New on Tindy comes the FIDI board. It is billed as a small development board running Adafruit's CircuitPython, featuring 6 terminal block connectors and a quick connector, designed for fast prototyping. It runs on the Atmel SAMD21 microcontroller. FIDI is also stated by the developer to be a derivative of Arturo 182's Serpente board, although not affiliated. Check it out on Tindy. The highly anticipated pairing of the giant board, Linux in a Feather form factor which runs Python and CircuitPython, and the keyboard Featherwing from Arturo 182 may be very close to being possible. Visit TeamOnSKU on Twitter for all the details. Check out the Mark Educational Robot Kit with MicroPython from robotgizmos.com on Kickstarter. Electric Josh posts to DesignSpark upcycling an old project into a greenhouse irrigation system using MicroPython and PyCom. Zen Kong uses a Raspberry Pi to build a more belligerent Bender smart voice assistant. Check it out on hackster.io. Mark posts a guide to concurrency in Python with async.io on integralist.co.uk. Wolf explains null in Python, understanding Python's nontype object on RealPython. Check it out at realpython.com/null-in-python. Christopher Bailey interviews Kyle Stratus about Python job hunting in a pandemic on the Real Python podcast. Find it at realpython.com/podcasts. The number of CircuitPython supported microcontrollers and single-board computers grows every week. This week, there was one new board added, the Alorium Tech Evo M51. Are you interested in adding a new board to CircuitPython? Check out the Adafruit Learn system for a series of guides about getting your board added to CircuitPython and circuitpython.org. There were 5 new Python on hardware-related guides in the Adafruit Learn system this week, including build a gentle yoga pose timer that chimes a soothing tone when it's time to move on to your next pose in this guide from John Park. And Zune may be gone, but now there's JetPlayer for your dance party with this standalone MP3 player written in CircuitPython in this guide from Jeff Epler. The current number of CircuitPython libraries is 230. There are no new libraries this week, but there are a number of updated libraries. As always, visit circuitpython.org/libraries to download the latest bundle. Included in this week's updates from the CircuitPython team, Dan started to work on using the Bleak Python library to implement BLEIO on host computers, analogous to how Blinka emulates native CircuitPython on host computers. Bleak uses Python async.io, which complicates how it can be called from regular synchronous CircuitPython code. He's studying up on async.io and a number of helper libraries. Jeff finished up working on MP3 playback in CircuitPython. It was a long time coming, but the guide was finally published for the PyGamer MP3 player, affectionately known as JetPlayer. CircuitPython has been able to play MP3 since the release of version 5, but somehow we never released a guide for it. I've been working with LED animations using the CircuitPython LED animation library. The library is designed to make displaying LED animations super simple, from blinking to sparkles to comets and more. Between pixel mapping and animation groups, working with large numbers of pixels in a matrix or other shape is a breeze. Initial testing showed that the way the library was written made it of limited use on the SAMD21M0 boards, which includes the ubiquitous Circuit Playground Express. So over the weekend, we worked on a complete refactor of the library to split every animation into its own module, making it significantly more modular. The changes were successful. It's at least possible to run all but one of the animations individually on the CPX. Further testing is necessary to determine all of the limitations, but it is much better than it was. As well, we now have a solid API, and all additions moving forward will follow it. There's a guide in the works that should be published soon. Over the weekend, Lucian took some time to work on a personal project, support for a type of motor called the Dynamixel. He's been a big fan of these motors ever since he used them back in college. They're easy to manage for more complicated robotics projects and have a lot of built-in checks to keep them from breaking under stress. He's put together a CircuitPython library for using the motor, a bit unpolished at the moment, which he's hoping to submit to the community bundle next week. To test it out, he tried it out on a simple robot he's calling Hermie, for hermit crab. It's not too sophisticated yet, but we'll see where it goes. This week, Melissa finished up a couple of small projects, including adding an uninstall option for the script that installs PyTFT drivers on the Raspberry Pi. Some of the guides warn the user that they must not have kernel-level drivers in order to use displays with the Raspberry Pi, but there wasn't actually a guide that told them how to do it. Now they can easily do it by choosing an uninstall option. One of the reasons for adding this option was to lay the groundwork for adding display.io to Blinka so that display.io scripts can be run on the Raspberry Pi. It ended up being a bigger project than she initially thought, but she's been working her way through it. EuroPython 2020 this year will be an online conference from July 23rd to 26th, including 2 conference days with keynotes, talks, lightning talks, and poster sessions, and 2 sprint days with multiple sprint teams. Attending the conference will require a ticket, and participating in the sprints will be free. Check out ep2020.europython.eu for details. PyCon AU has announced they're holding PyCon Line AU in August. Check out 2020.pycon.org.au for more information. PyCon India will be held online from October 3rd through 5th, 2020. A call for proposals is now open through the 14th of August. Visit in.pycon.org/2020 for details regarding the CFP and the conference. Looking for more Python on hardware all week? Join the Adafruit community on Discord and check out the Help with CircuitPython and CircuitPython channels. We're over 19,000 strong and continuing to grow. You'll find a supportive, positive community filled with like-minded folks. Join at adafru.it/discord. And that is your Python on hardware news for this week. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to the newsletter or tune in again next week.